Yeah, so then you just do that to get it to open up wider. Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, welcome. We had some major storms earlier today, and so I'm just grateful that the rains have moved on past, and it shouldn't affect our filming in our class today. So, but welcome today or this month on Holistic Health 101 workshop. I really wanted to talk about sleep. It's become a passion for me, so we'll dive right in. So I want to share with something which is quantum techniques, which is a healing modality that I have found to be so profound. And it really helps you live your best life ever. When you can really start finding out what is the root cause of some of your health issues. And it's a proven way to get results. And so I'm a Christian holistic health practitioner, and I help women from their 40s to 60s and beyond to help discover what is that root cause of your chronic illness. And by clearing toxins and pathogens and traumas that are impacting your health, and then implementing anti-aging techniques, then you can start helping you to thrive again. So that's what the whole goal is finding out what's the root cause, what pathogens and toxins are impacting that, and what traumas, clearing it from your system in the way that we do, and that way you can start thriving again. So if you're watching the replay, because I have several people that wanted the replay so far and weren't able to join us, if you're watching the replay, please drop a comment, say like, share it with somebody that also has some sleep issues that you know that they've been complaining about, and we'll get started. So, like I said, sleep has always been a passion of mine, and it really started when I had my son. And well, I guess that's before that. It didn't really bother me. In other words, if I woke up in the middle of the night, I was just like, oh, I can work some more. And so I would go on the computer, get something done, whatever was bothering my mind or something like that. But when I had my son, it's like the amount of energy he took and then me not getting sleep, I couldn't do it anymore. And so I really kind of wanted to find out how I could make sure and get a good night's sleep. And I think the pain point was when I was driving home and I don't really remember the car ride. And so it's like, okay, I know that I'm kind of running on overpilot or autopilot, and that shouldn't do that. And so I really want to find out why. And through my studies, I've realized, when we don't get a good night's sleep, we're not able to restore our body, our brain. And so therefore we have detoxing issues, and then if we can't detox, then we start backing up with our toxins, and those can create things like health issues, Alzheimer's, and things like that. So it's important for me to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to maintain my health as best possible. So that's why I got started. And of course, then as you enter menopause, you start having hot flashes, and that doesn't help you have a good night's sleep. And so finding out, okay, what is the body trying to communicate with us during that time of hot flashes that's causing that issue? So that's how I kind of got started in what I'm doing. All right. Got a little drink here. So I've always kind of wanted to ask, what's my why? And finding out what are the steps to find out what's going on and what I can do about it. And that's what I love about this healing modality, because it helps answer the question why. And that's all part of the journey. So it's my mission to help women empower themselves by taking care of their health, so that they don't have to go through frustration with chronic illness year after year. Because I find that it's kind of sometimes starts in your 30s and then it can just continues to compound. And I always say it's kind of like an issue where you've tried all those years to hold the beach ball underneath the water and sit on it. And it's just at the point you get to the point, I can't hold it down anymore. And so it gets to the point where you have to kind of, solve it. Okay. I just want to double check something here. Yep. Okay. All right. So as I said, that's my passion, is to help others thrive in their health so that they don't have to live in a sick care system. They can have the freedom to choose to take care of themselves and their family the best they know possible. Um, so one of the, I throw in kind of several testimonies here, and I had just recently a client that reached out to me and said, her daughter was having some issues with a pregnancy and having low blood pressure. And she says, okay, well, what do I need to have her eat? Because I think it's a low blood sugar issue. And, just doing a kind of a quick test, realized it's not a low blood sugar issue. Actually, what it was is she had a bite. And so this bite was impacting the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve runs to the lungs, to the heart, stomach, colon, bladder, kidneys, spleen, pancreas, and liver. And so each person, they may have one of those organs that is their delicate organ. So like for my husband, it's the liver. For right now, mine is my lungs. My son would be stomach and colon. And so sometimes those bites can impact that field. And so finding out why she was having that issue so that she knew how to take care of it. I was very pleased to hear that the medical system actually told her kind of the same thing, that, hey, it could be your vagus nerve and it could be from a bite. And so I'm like, wow, that's so I felt like they're kind of cutting edge, and I'm in kind of the back world here. So that was exciting that they're catching on. Because we always say that there's a lot of times people think they're having a heart attack and go to the hospital, but it's actually a bite that they've encountered and it's impacting the heart. So it will make, the blood sugar issue, or not, sorry, the blood pressure go up and down, just depending. Sometimes people, it makes them too high and adrenals racing, and other times it will make them slow down and have low blood pressure. So just kind of depends on the person and what the propensity is. All right. So, so in my topic of sleep, the first thing I wanted to address is, how does stress, hormone imbalance, hidden inflammation impact your sleep? So we have several different hormones and neurotransmitters, which is serotonin, melatonin, and dopamine. And so you've heard those a lot, that those need to be in balance. What can throw them off? Things that we eat can throw them off. Staying up, too late at night and being under, or watching, the TV or the computer can mess up with the melatonin, serotonin, dopamine. Bites can mess that up. So there's lots of different things that can mess that up, but they are part of being able to sleep. So that's one of the things that we would test to find out if they are in balance for you and what has knocked them off. Another thing is the HPA axis. That's kind of your fight or flight. It's hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenals. Okay, that's your HPA axis. So that needs to be in balance and not in fight or flight in order to get a good night's sleep. Your pituitary, that's your low blood sugar. So you need to make sure your pituitary has enough protein to make it all the way through sleeping. And so it's important with your pituitary and your low blood sugar is to eat 30 minutes after waking. Now, I've said that for years, and I have actually just listened to, and I can't remember the guy's name. I will get more in my head. But he deals with the ultimate human, and he said it's also Tony Ferris wrote a book, Timothy Ferris. I got my book case, and he says you need to eat 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking, and when you do that, you're able to, and then let's say you work out, then you're able to maintain your muscle mass and not just keep using it up trying to work out, and you're always kind of playing catch up. So I'm in the process of doing that, and I am finding that it is starting to make a difference. So it is important to have protein within 30 minutes of waking. And my son, unfortunately, would be a testament of when it doesn't work because he will inevitably go to class or something like that and has not eaten protein. He's in college now, so I don't have as much control. And he will get very low blood sugar and sometimes, pass out. And so it's kind of like, okay, you need to definitely eat. So he's learning by consequences through that. As moms, we have to let them sow what they reap. So the other thing about pituitary is because that's a long time to sleep at night, it's good to have sometimes if you have a hard time with that, eat a little protein before you go to bed. And that will help with that whole cycle, being able to be okay. And obviously not eating, they say 2 hours before bedtime. So your body can start shutting down and not having so much to digest at night. And so it has a lot of processing that have to do at night. Limbic system, Eleanor, you talked about the limbic system, and a lot of times that is in almost in flight itself in the middle of the night. And so if you go to sleep at night and then you kind of lay there and you can't get to sleep, that's usually an anxiety issue where we have to calm the body down. If you wake up during the middle of the night, then that's more of a detoxing issue. Okay. But I find a lot of times that in the middle of the night, if I wake up and then my mind starts kind of going and racing and thinking about this and that, then I know that I've got something impacting my limbic system. And it's usually a virus or a bacteria that's an issue. And it could also be a bite impacting my adrenals, keeping me going, and then also my adrenaline going. So that's something to look at for what the root cause is. The other one is cortisol. Cortisol can be raised by too much exercise during the day. You do need to have it elevated at night so that it can burn off what you've done during the day, and then lower during the day so that it is more stable. So it's kind of I see that as kind of being different, but that's what I've read as being helpful. So what is your body really trying to communicate with you when you deal with sleep struggles? So we talked about adrenals being too revved up because of bites, virus, or bacteria. Waking during the night, depending on when you wake up, tells what organs, glands, and tissues is being impacted by. So between 11 and 1 is gallbladder. So you may be dealing with a gallbladder issue, gallstones, not digesting fats well. Between 1 and 3 is liver. So your liver, it has too much to detox. You have too many toxins in your life. And they can be endocrine disruptors. They can be inhalants like mold in your environment. It can be foods that you ate that are impacting the liver. It could be a fungal issue that's usually in the liver. So there's lots of things that can impact the liver, but that's what we would look at. If it's between 3 and 5, then that's lung. And so lungs deal with grief. And so you may be dealing with a grief field. And so you're almost like your body's waking you up to deal with it, to handle it, to figure it out, to process it. And so that's where I think journaling comes in line, prayer comes in line, meditation comes in line to try to let go of that grief. And so it doesn't keep you up at night. All right, so why there's several common, health hacks that, can be alternative or not. And what should you do instead, or why they work and sometimes they don't. Taking sleeping pills, that's more of a pharmaceutical fix. But I find that there's sometimes a compounding effect. Some pills are okay with other people, but I think there's always a long-term effect that you need to be aware of. A lot of times they do create memory loss and Alzheimer's. That's kind of like their long-term issue. I think they sometimes have a rebounding effect. In other words, you kind of have to take more to get it to work more because it's coating the cell surface receptors and not allowing it to work well. Another one you've heard about is wanting to make sure you have a dark room. And that's, very helpful. I lived in a house where there was a street light, like literally right outside the window. And so we planted a nice tree that would help shade that. And it worked really good, except for the middle of winter because it lost its leaves. But at least it was something. And so sleep baths was another way to deal with that. I had one client where she would call occasionally, and we found that sleep mask would get mold or bacteria because she was always, touching it or putting it over her eyes. And so it had to be cleaned quite often. So just be aware of that. It's kind of like your toothbrush. We don't think about cleaning the actual toothbrush. It's good to do that at least every 4 days. So just be aware. let's see. So the third one was, you can wear blue blocker glasses. I have a pair and I'm not very good at wearing them. Because I have glasses. So if I'm going to wear, let's say, blue blockers, I have to put them over the glasses. And so it's a little funky. But you can wear that at night to try to help with the depletion or the disruption of melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. To get out and walk in the evening is a good, idea that kind of helps your body transition between the heavy activity of the day and then the more calm at night. But I found a semantic exercise that I found to be very helpful. And it's just movement. You could do yoga, you could do meditation, but that's not a lot of movement, but it still quiets the mind. But it's just movement. It's almost like just kind of fluid dancing and moving all your limbs in a different way. And just that way, it's like when you wake up in the morning and you're a little stiff, a lot of times that is a low blood sugar issue. And the, amino acids kind of, collecting in your joints. And so sometimes it's helpful to do foam rollers to kind of like break that up. There's Egaskew method to try to kind of do those exercises at night to try to break things up. So those are some things that you can do to help the movement at night so that you wake up more rested and peaceful in the morning. So the simple things that I say that are the best that you can do to make sure you have a good night's sleep are two things. And one is make sure that you have a laundry detergent that is not toxing you. So having something like borax, OxyClean, Next Generation's No Scent, or some kind of hand homemade that doesn't have all the chemicals in it. That's number one. Number two is to make sure that your living environment has no mold, because that's like the next biggest thing I find that people can't sleep because they are inhaling some kind of mold in their environment. And, it's one of those things you kind of have to look at every year, because where I was in Louisiana, that the windows would sweat. And so the sweat would run down and then, the dust would form at the bottom of the windowsill, and so it would get mold in the dust. So yeah, so it does form in all times. So it's good to do our spring cleaning, I guess. All right. So part of quantum techniques method is that we have 4 things that I find that I have found to help with the healing modalities to help your body thrive. And so to share those 4 is the first thing, which is, quantum techniques, which is a 7-step process that identifies the exact toxins and pathogens that are causing the chronic illness. And it's worked for me in many different ways. I have had this, like I said, the shoulder issue that has not allowed me to, say, lift weights very well or to do push-ups. And sure enough, it brings it back to the same thing where I got a blood draw, and that was the original insult. And the blood draw came in with mold on the stainless steel needle. So I was bad on the mold, the stainless steel, and the injectant, which is a 3-part toxin, not just one, but 3 together, as seen it from the body as one. And so when I get a bite again, or I get another blood draw, sure enough, that shoulder hurts again. And so we had to find the exact organ, gland, or tissue, which I don't have the name of it, but it's like tunis. And there's a tunis outside and middle, and this was the outside that seems to have an issue. And so once I clear it from that, it dissipates. So sometimes we have to be very specific to find out the exact toxin, the exact pathogen, the exact tissue that's being impacted, so that the body goes, oh yeah, I don't want that there, let's clear it. So let's see. Oh, excuse me. Let me get some more water. The storm is making me tired here. So when you find the why, and it helps you deal with the health issue, because then you can know you can do something about it. Instead of getting blood draws in this arm, I've switched to this arm because this arm doesn't have as much of a sensitivity as this one. So you can make that change. And so it's a healing modality where people want a pathway to get their health back on track, and that they want to make the changes so that they can start having phenomenal health. And so that's the first step, and that's what I do. I help people do help with quantum techniques to find that out. And it helps you feel empowered because you're in control and finding out your why, so you know what to do to take care of your health. And so I work with people for first-time clients is 60 minutes for $300, and it's a one-on-one. I record the call so you can find out exactly what your issue is and what you can do about it. And we just have you fill out information for that to help you know what you're dealing with. All right. All right. So then we have, let's see. So what makes this healing modality different than other modalities? It's God-centered. Identify the exact toxins and pathogens that are impacting your health, and then we clear them in an instant, because once the body can see it, it can heal it, and so it lets it go. And I always say it's like Jesus told the centurion, in Matthew 8:8, go, your servant's been healed. So that's as quick as it is. So it's even way back in the Bible, this kind of healing. So the bonus I had for today is that I have been so passionate about helping people with sleep, is that I have created a sleep course. And so I'm going to put in the chat here the link for this sleep course. And I've taken 5 years to do it. I think there's a little bit of technology that's gotten in the way, and a lot of life that's gotten in the way. But hold on. But anyway, so I've created this sleep course, and so this thing always blocks exactly where I want to put this. Okay. Anyway, so here's let me mark it sleep course. Sorry. It wants to be highlighted. Cancel. I'll do it underneath. Here we go. All right. All right, so that's the sleep course, and that's the link. It goes into what I'm talking about in depth in many different ways. It's $95. And so that's the link to look through it and know what it's about. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm trying to do some others in regards to actual health and different things that you need to take care of your health. So that's what I've been working on in the background. So that's the bonus to learn how to take care of your health. All right. And if you want more information about what quantum techniques is and how I deal with this technology and help you, and you want to know more information than just kind of like jumping right into a session, we can do a free 15-minute call, a Zoom call, where I can explain a little bit more about clearing symptoms, clearing kind of what's in your bucket, and why symptoms have a root cause and why it's so important to get to that root cause. All right. All right, so number 2, so that was number 1. That's the first thing that I think is very, very helpful. It's the best thing you can do to take care of your health. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, so the second thing that's really helpful to do is that a lot of times your body has pain, stiffness, and inflammation because the body is trying to detox all those toxins that we talked about, whether it's pathogens and toxins, something like that. But it can't do it very well because of a lack of ability to let those things go. And so redox signaling molecules help the with that cellular communication, so the body can say, yeah, let's get this out, and it has the strength to do that. And so that way you can get your vitality back. And so I wanted to share some more information about the redox signaling molecules. So let me set this up here. So let's see, we want to share. We do here and we do here. And so we go here. We do share, and then I'm going to pull this down. Oh, there we go. That should be set up. All right.
It's an unfortunate fact. Bodies break down. Your own body, right this minute, is breaking down in one way or another. Even if you feel healthy, the fast-paced lifestyle most of us call normal can lead to major health problems. The reason bodies break down is that over time, cellular communication breaks down. True health means having healthy cellular communication, cells talking to each other. The question is, are you doing your part to keep your cells talking? If you're not sure, you need to hear about a revolutionary product scientifically shown to affect the way our cells communicate. How do our cells know what to say? Genes tell them. This is how your body receives communication for life-sustaining instructions that keep you alive and healthy. ASEA Redox keeps cells talking with redox signaling molecules.
ASEA is dedicated to performing the highest quality science in the field. This study was of the highest scientific caliber, utilizing the Torrey Laboratory, which is an expert in genetic testing. What's important and very interesting about this study that's been performed is that the 20 to 31% changes in gene transcription activity, it's a real difference between folks taking saline and those taking the ASEA Redox at 8 weeks.
ASEA Redox is the first and only supplement on the market scientifically tested and shown to signal the activation of genetic pathways and to affect genes that improve immune system health, help maintain a healthy inflammatory response, help maintain cardiovascular health, improve gut health, and modulate hormone balance. ASEA Redox is the breakthrough that interrupts the breakdown. This patented product is the reason that tens of thousands of people have experienced wellness in a way they hadn't before.
I was first introduced to ASEA about 6-7 years ago. I've had some pretty serious health challenges, and I noticed immediately that first night I slept much better, and I woke up refreshed with an energy level that I hadn't felt in quite a while. My last visit with one of my doctors was, I see no reason why you shouldn't live well into your 90s.
There's been so many steps in my life where ASEA has helped with so many different things, and it just consistently has helped my health. It's been really amazing.
I just think it's so important to the whole world to know about ASEA and what it can do for everyone. We just seem to sail through life with, better health than we ever have. It's the biggest thing that's ever happened.
And so I know it's helped my body to normalize is what it did, I think. I believe in it wholeheartedly. I'm afraid not to take it if you want the truth.
And I went to the doctor to get a physical in December, and my cholesterol numbers are amazing. My triglycerides are so low that my risk factor for heart disease is minimal. I will never not take this product. It gives me goosebumps to talk about it.
Are you done with the breakdown? Reach for the breakthrough. Drinking ASEA Redox every day is a simple thing to do to keep your cells talking and allow you to experience the vitality of true health and wellness.
All right. So yeah, I've been taking ASEA since I think 2019, and I do it as regenerative medicine and to help prevent any health issues that may come up. And so I've just found it to be very good in helping detox those cells so that you don't have the buildup and autophagy and apoptophagy kind of take over. So that's why I found it to be helpful. The other thing I felt it is they also have a product that is a gel, which is the same stuff, but in a gel form. And I use that a ton. So if I have any kind of scrapes or bruises or burns, I put that on there, and it's not like, it's kind of like aloe vera, but you're actually growing the stem cells. So that's what I find to be helpful. Also, like if I have any kind of like a spot or something like that, where there's a skin issue, or something's growing, a lot of times we'll put that on with DMSO, or some kind of a rash or something like that to make sure the DSO is okay. But that will help it penetrate into the skin to help it get better. So I find that to be very, very helpful. All right. So if you sign up for a 15-minute call to get going on a session, I have a little bottle of Renew 28 that I can give you as part of signing up for that call. So that's great. All right, so that's two. The third one is I have found a product, or I offer light technology. So I found a product that is natural, safe, affordable, and effective. And what it does is it stimulates your own body's stem cells that we naturally lose as we age. And so I found it to be very helpful in they have several different patches to help with things. So they have one for stem cells, they have one for sleep. That's why we're bringing it up. They have one for helping reduce inflammation. They have one for helping with glutathione production. They have one for energy. They have one to help stimulate the thyroid. And I find that if I wear that, I don't crave sugar as much. And so they have many different patches to help with many different things. So that was the next thing I wanted to share. Because I find that to be very helpful. So let me go to, okay, it's hiding, hold on. All right, so we're gonna do share again. Oh, no, this way. Okay, and we do, oh, here we go. See, I'll get it. And then, yeah, all right.
Light, an ancient form of energy that goes back to the dawn of time. For us, it all begins with the sun, the source of light and life for our entire solar system. Even Einstein concluded that everything we're made of contains light. All life originates with the sun through photosynthesis. Plants and vegetation collect the light, and all living creatures emit light. Humans actually emit infrared light, which can be seen with night vision devices. We've known for centuries that light has many effects on the body. LifeWave's phototherapy patches use light to stimulate the body's natural healing systems, providing specific health benefits. Here's how the technology works. First, a patch is applied to specific points on the body. Where the patch covers the skin, infrared light emitted from the body is reflected back into the tissue. This stimulates the skin, which in turn stimulates specific regions of the brain. The brain then taps into the body's own natural flow of energy and the ability to heal itself. Let's take a look at why this is important on a cellular level. For example, a number of our patch products help counteract free radicals, oxygen molecules that damage cell proteins and contribute to visible signs of aging. When the body is stimulated through phototherapy to release its own antioxidants, these free radicals are neutralized naturally. LifeWave phototherapy patches promote an environment that enables the body to optimize its restorative powers and provide specific health benefits, all without the use of harmful drugs or chemicals, all helping you to stay healthy and young. To find out more, contact your distributor. LifeWave. Live long. Live well.
All right. And so I actually have a website that is really helpful in learning more about the stem cell patches. And so they have a lot more information on there. So I'll put that in the chat also. All right. Great. So the reason I bring that up is they have a patch for, like I said, nighttime sleeping. And so I placed it many places on the different meridians I found to be helpful or I muscle tested for. But one of the things that I find is if I put it right on my forehead, then that racing mind in the middle of the night gets calmed down. And so I found that to be helpful. And the great thing about it is that because the patches last about 12 hours, kind of like a battery, we usually only sleep 8. And so a lot of times you can wear it 2 times. And so you can wear it the first night and then the second night. So you get the longevity from that. And they have patches for pain, which is really helpful. So like I said, I mentioned this shoulder. So if I was having pain, I could put the light ice wave patches on there and would help with pain. And I found that to be very helpful, especially like back pain, shoulder pain, or whatever, really helps with that, especially with surgeries and knee pain and things like that. So that's been helpful. I had an issue where I was dealing with some jaw pain, and it really cleared it up. And I did both. I did both the Renew 28 gel with the DMSO, and then that was during the day. And then during the night, I would put it on my cheek. In fact, I've got my husband doing that right now because he had some dental surgery. So we're putting it right on the outside of that to help that get well, which reminds me, I should put the Renew 28 and the DMSO on him. All right, that would help that get well too. So anyway, when you sign up for, a one-on-one to learn more about quantum techniques and the modality I do, part of my gift to you for signing up and going on and doing a session is that I will find out what your particular issue is and what patch would be best for you, whether it be, a stem cell patch or a life wave patch or ice wave patch. And it's a way for you to experience the technology. We never know how fast it will, take effect or whether you'll notice anything. Some people notice things right away, other people do not. So it just kind of depends. All right. So that's the third way. So the fourth way is clearing traumas. And so, we all have traumas in our life, and trauma can be a big word, but it just means little things. In fact, I'll give you kind of an example of a very weird trauma that I just, that I just recently had in my life. That's really not a trauma, but it shows how emotions can get stuck in very strange ways. So I'm going to read this about traumas to kind of explain that. So stress, anxiety, and trauma create a physical and a non-physical response in the body. Traumas can overwhelm the nervous system and its capacity to process that experience. Pieces of that experience are left unprocessed and frozen behind in the brain and in the body. Anytime the flow of energy goes through those areas, the person will experience the trauma symptoms again. So this is a delightful representation. So we had turned in our taxes. And so I asked the lady, I said, well, I would like to have the adjusting entries because I've always had my accountants do the adjusting entries. And she's like, oh, well, you just do this, and this is where you get the number from. And I'm used to having it all written out. And so I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can figure out, because I had several that I had to do. And so I'm sitting there and I started crying and I'm like, okay, why am I having this big emotion? Well, my mom would always do the adjusting entries for me, and my mom has passed away from Alzheimer's. And it's like, there's this connection of, well, I want to be the kid again. I want my mom to take care of this and not have to do this. And so, so it's definitely that same idea of where this, pieces of that was left over in that unhealed emotional body and brain and thought process. And so it's like, okay, I just needed to kind of take a good cry on it. And it did help. But I released the trauma code, like I tell you guys to do. And it really did help diminish that angst in that. So let's see if I can show you a little bit about that. So here. All right. So again, sharing my screen. I'll share. I'm going to do this one. All right. So this is the trauma code. And so what I'm going to have you do is think of a situation that you find gives you angst like that, like playing journal. For me, it was journal entries. It could be an accident that you were in. It could be a situation about being frustrated about not sleeping at night. And so, having years of not being able to do that. So think of a time and give it a number from the scale from 1 to 10. I always like to do this, but along with you. Let's see. Okay, so give it a number, and so I'm going to say, mine is probably about a 6. In fact, I had something that came up today, so that was about a 6. Okay, so give it a number from a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being high. Okay, and then we're just going to tap along with this. So we're going to say, we're tapping and thinking about that top of the eyebrow, the index finger, and because I have that there, you're not able to tap along with me. I hadn't thought about that. So just yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, so anyway, hopefully, most of you probably have done that, but I'll do it one way with where you can see it, then you can follow along with me. So, so the eyebrow, index finger, sorry, little finger, side of the hand, start of the eyebrow again, under the eye, the middle finger, side of hand, index finger, outside of eye, armpit, and collarbone. Okay, so I'm going to do the stop share so then you can walk along with me for that. So bear with me. Move that over here. Okay, so start of the eyebrow, and then the index finger, and then the little finger, and then side of hand, start of the eyebrow, under the eye, middle finger, side of hand, outside of eye, armpit, and collarbone. And it could be either side of the body, but those are the points, and that's how you enter them. And then if you were to rate what that situation was before, what would it be? And so I was just thinking about my situation. And I had kind of done this a little bit earlier. But it really did bring it down to, gosh, almost 0. And I would think it would be landed about a 2 when I did it before. So I had like another layer to do on that. So did anybody get movement where it went down so it wasn't at, so high? So did you get a lower number, Eleanor? Oh, you're still, let's see, you're on mute. Let's see if I can unmute you. Go ahead.
I don't know what to look for. I've never done this.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So, yeah, so you're kind of thinking of a situation that gave you a lot of angst or
Yeah.
frustration or anxiety. And then as you tap through that, it helps lower that the anxiety that you have. And so typically I do a whole hour of this, but I'm just kind of giving you a taste of how that tapping can work to help with that. So that's kind of an example. And if you want an example, you can leave your email in the chat and I can send you an hour of when I've done that before and you can walk through it as an example. Sharon, how about you?
Yeah, I just decided what I said to you before we started about being young and instance before bed and stuff. And that was an 8 as I tested it. And then I went down to a 2 on the second round of going through the places.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Good to see we got some movement. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so that's an example of how we can shift the energy. It's a way, it shows an example of tapping. And then it can also show how we, in that same manner, we can clear toxins and pathogens. So it's a good example of what this technology does with quantum healing and quantum techniques. And a lot of times I take you through it, several times to make sure that it goes, down to a 0 or a 2, so you get that out of the body. And if you would like me to send you the tapping points, you can certainly enter your email in the text, and and Eleanor, you entered yours already, but you can certainly send me an email. Let me put my my email address for people that are watching the replay so they can ask for it that way. Okay, so there's Jody at quantumtechniques.com, and I can, like I said, send you the tapping points. I can send you also the the video for kind of doing the whole process together. So let me just write down her email so I have it. Sometimes it likes to kick you out. So, all right. So Eleanor, you're up in where I used to go to school. I went to school in the Napa Valley. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a neat place up there. It's my old stomping grounds. All right. So I've given you 4 tools. Okay. So the quantum techniques in the 7-step process to really identify that core root cause of why you're having an issue and then clearing it so you can let that go. The second is to have a way for your body to cleanse out the toxins and pathogens out of the cell using stem redox signaling molecules. Number 3 is to help you grow stem cells by using the patches, which helps grow your own stem cells instead of adding something in your body, which is can be very expensive and also includes injections and things like that. And 4th is having a way to let go of that a non-physical emotional trauma stress in your life that we all seem to have. All right, so those are the 4 things that I have found to be very, very beneficial. So your next steps is to sign up for a 60-minute quantum technique session. And I mentioned I put my jody@quantumtechniques.com email address in there so that you can send me an email, say, yes, I'd like to set up for session, and I can send you the information for that. If you want a little bit more explanation of what the process is and what we do and how we find that, not going all into that today, but we can do a 15-minute free call to kind of walk you through that. And so you can let me know that that's what you'd like to do. And moving forward in setting up a session, I'll give you the patches and also send you the Redox Renew 28, which is the Redox in gel form. But that's a great way to get started. A third thing that you can do is also make sure that you're signed up for my Facebook group, which is Chronic Illness, Finding the Root Cause. And I can actually put that link, let's see, join the Facebook group. So I'll put that link in the chat also. Yeah, so there's the link for the Facebook group. And I share a lot of videos, quick ones about what I do and just different things about health and what we found to be very helpful in many different subjects. So I found it to be very helpful. Another thing is that I have a YouTube channel, which I share a lot more of, these kind of health things. Because like I said, I want you to be empowered and know that there is a way to be able to take care of your health in a natural way, and finding that root cause is part of that. Get out of there. Okay, there we go. So there's the YouTube channel. All right. So during the one-on-one connection call, I help answer your questions with your specific health issues. I record the call, and so you're able to re-listen to it again to help you, if you missed some information or things like that. The 60-minute call, we give first-time QT clients a discount, so it's $300 for an hour. We have you fill out some paperwork so that we know what your client history is, and we know kind of what you've been dealing with and what you're wanting to take care of. And then after that first session, we charge by the minute. And so I charge $6.67 a minute. Typical sessions do not last an hour. They typically go 5 minutes, 12 minutes, 20 minutes is pretty typical. And it just depends on what subject you're wanting to look at. So sometimes we'll address one thing, we'll clear the sludge. That's why it's only 5 minutes. And then we may want to look at a different issue. And so that takes a little bit longer. And then once that one's clear, we can move on to the next one. So it's neat to see how the progress of health gets back on track. And sometimes when you deal with one thing, it helps other things. So like I said, we're dealing with sleep issues, and we can also help with blood sugar and anxiety and all those kind of like they cascade. All right. kind of reading through my notes here to make sure I got everything. So I'm excited to have you get back your health on track. And I've always said, I want you to have good health and happiness. And the first step is learning how to take care of your health the way God intended it to. And so that's why I'm helping you find what that root cause is so that you have a place to start. Because when you know what's going on, then you can have energy and live in peace because you know what to do and you know the right path to take. And this is the best healing modality I've found that really help with that. So I look forward to getting started with you, and you've got the links that you need there. I'll open it up for questions if you guys have any questions of everything we talked about today. And sometimes there's questions, sometimes there's not. So Eleanor, did you have any questions?
Well, so what is it that I do to get this initial packet you talked about with the
Patches?
yeah, and etc.
Yeah, so what I can do is I can reach out to you because I have your email, and I can find out when would be a good time for us to do kind of a Zoom call together, and I can to talk more about what this modality is. In other words, clearing symptoms, but also making sure we clear the bucket of what's making you have those symptoms. So we can talk about that, and then signing up for a treatment, then I can send you the samples of the redox signaling gel and also the LifeWave patches.
Okay, because I have a trauma that happened yesterday, and I want to get so that I don't just burst into tears all over the place all the time because it's recent, and I don't seem to be coming off of it easily.
Okay, well, let me send you the quantum techniques. One of the trauma sequence that I've done in the past, so you can follow along with us and see how that clears that. Okay, I think that would be the best thing for you. So I'll send you that trauma sequence video. If I can spell. YouTube. All right, so I'll send that to you and you can walk through that. And if you want more help with that and doing one individual, then let me know and we can take the next step.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you, Sharon?
Yeah, I have a couple things that came to my mind as I was listening. One question might be, why are some people sensitive to mold and other people are not? You could have somebody in the same room as you are and you flip out and they don't. And my understanding is it has to do with your limbic system. So what's your take on the rest of that?
We're kind of finding it's how much mold you were actually born with by a miasm from your parents.
Oh, that makes sense.
You could be born with 1, 2, 3, or 4 frequencies of mold that make you more susceptible through life to be sensitive to mold. So like my mom was spent time in Africa, and so she was around mold, and so yeah, I inherited mold sensitivity from her.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know all about that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the other thing that tripped my trigger was a histamine response in my body. I have muscle tested that it has to do with why I can be wakeful at night. And so what more things could a person go to or through to eliminate histamine like during the day so it's not going to be there at night?
Okay. Okay, so 2 things. What I find a lot of times our bodies detox during the day and the night differently. So we try to always make sure that we're detoxing at night 50% and day 50%. So that's something I would suggest. So for example, I had a session yesterday, and when I went to sleep or got ready to lay down to sleep, I started yawning, and I've never yawned that. We yawn when we're having energy exchange, but I've had some issues with sleeping because of a remodel that we're in. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't tired, but I could tell my energy was like throwing stuff off and detoxing just as I laid down. And so I was aware that my detox at night was too high compared to a day. And so then you can adjust that. And then I went to sleep. So that's one thing. Histamine response at night, I would want to check what's in the nighttime field in your bedroom. In other words, is there mold? Is there inhalants? Is there something that's creating that histamine response? Pollen is another one, obviously, it's time of year. So those things. And then we talked about body positioning trauma, making sure that, you think about laying down on your back, clear that, sides and front.
So the histamine response, though, I've had basically probably for years and years not knowing what it was. And maybe there's still more to know, as I'm always saying. But I'm pretty sure that's a part of why it's hard to go to sleep and stay asleep, both, because there is a histamine response. And it doesn't matter what bedroom I'm in. So it's probably beyond the physical. That's part of it. So I'm asking kind of, is there something more with histamine, like, frozen emotion that you've been talking about that could be a part of it? Miasmal energy is a histamine response or detox in the body that doesn't work like it could and should.
So I always think of histamine response is you don't feel like the world is a safe place. So you're creating an issue to deal with. It's like, so that you don't have to deal with the big world. Headaches are like that. A lot of times we have a headache because we don't want to deal with something in the bigger world. An example would also be like my dad, if he goes to a hotel, he can sleep all the time, no problem. But if he's at home, he can't sleep. And there's a little bit of, at home, I have work, I have people, I have obligations. And so that heaviness you kind of take on to worry about is not there when you're on vacation. And so that can also be the emotional part of it too. So those are some things to check. I would then take the next step and say, okay, a histamine response, but what are the organs, glands, and tissues involved? Is it the sinuses? Is it the cranial nerves? Is it the lungs, the diaphragm, vagus nerve to lung? And so kind of go down that route of saying, okay, what organs are involved and then why?
Mm-hmm. So do people that don't have that type of issue, they typically don't make the histamine that would be a part of this picture? I mean, they're just okay with what comes across their environment, so they don't have a histamine issue to deal with. So
yeah, because my husband, he's bad on pollen and it couldn't faze me a bit. So I don't care what time of year it is, I'm open the window and he's just like, it's like, what's your problem? But if I have mold in my environment, I am checked out. And he's like, I don't know what your problem is. So yeah, we have different things that impact us. And it's because of generational issues. And things that we've been exposed to, like my mom was exposed to mold, and then he has a trauma with pollen. So yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to talk about, did you understand my body positioning trauma and how to clear that?
I don't know. Tell me more.
Well, I was just saying, you kind of think about laying down on your back and then you test, I want to be healthy, I want to be sick. And then you're testing each, like on your left side, your right side, sleeping on your stomach and making sure that you don't have a reversal of those body positions. And that could be because of dental, it could be because of abuse, it could be, lots of things, but just making sure that that's clear. Okay. And then Eleanor, kind of going back to, I think, what you asked in regards to if you had to get up to go to the bathroom and then can't get back to sleep, there's an exercise that I can share with you that's a lymphatic drainage. And I found that when I get up to go to the restroom, if I do that lymphatic drainage exercise, when I get back in bed, I'm out. It's like you got up because your body was trying to detox. It couldn't because the was too much for the kidneys and the bladder and the vagus nerve to deal with. And so once you do that lymphatic drainage, it's like it opens up the channels for it to have more to be able to drain, and so you can go right back to sleep. So that's something else I can send you if you'd like me to.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll send you the trauma sequence and then the lymphatic drainage.
So maybe I would like to know about the lymphatic drainage more. I mean, why
Okay.
not, because a lot of times I wake up and can't go back to sleep. So maybe I've, got bladder nerves that I'm ignoring or something.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm pretty sure I have your email.
Oh,
But
yeah.
do you want to just,
Yeah.
okay. And give me your husband's name again, because it might be under his name.
It's Jim,
Jim,
but no,
okay.
you always send it on my email. So it's olive oil 7.
Oh. It's what?
Olive oil 7.
Oh, that one I don't remember. I thought there was a Jim Sharon something email.
And
No?
it's Sherilyn. It's like Carolyn, but SH, Sherilyn.
Carolyn, okay. Got it. Now I'm gonna worry I don't have it. Why don't you want to type it in the chat so I can have it just to make sure. All right. All righty. Well, great. Well, I'm glad I was able to share some information. I love the questions. It's always fun to kind of challenge. And I always learn a lot from people's questions because I have to think through stuff. I mean, that's kind of the fun part of it. And so,
well, it's cool that you've learned what you have. So
yeah, I've enjoyed it. I'm grateful for God for what he's taught us and everything I learned. I mean, and everybody's body is different. So I'm always learning every time I code someone and test somebody. And so it's fascinating. I appreciate the ability to do that. So
thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, blessings. And I hope you have a great rest of the evening.
You too.
All right. Bye.